Hi guys, and welcome to Film Artsy, your number one source for all things films and movies. My name is Elijah, and in film, and especially the superhero genre, we're in a really unique place. Marvel is definitely entering a new era with their universe, and the DCEU universe also seems to be getting different, and maybe it's making steps in the right direction here. And since Marvel has a very ambiguous future, maybe now's the time DCEU can catch up a little bit and get some goodwill in with the superhero crowd or the superhero fans in the movie universe and get some great movies coming out. So what does the DCEU have coming up next? Today we're going to be looking at every movie from the DCEU that's coming up in the future. Let's get into it. Alright, before we jump into this list, I kind of miss the good old days when Marvel would just post, a picture that was really easy to see every single movie that was coming out, and there was a pretty good likelihood those films would come out relatively close to whatever year they're announced for. The DCEU, on the other hand, they've announced a lot of movies along the way, and it seems like a ton of these movies were more just concepts rather than needing official announcements. So while a lot of the movies on this list aren't likely going to happen, we're going to go through the ones that are definitely happening first and then go into more of those ambiguous movies we don't know too much about afterwards. So let's go ahead and start off. We already know that this film is coming out later this year in the new Joker movie, which we've actually seen the trailer for. Here's a small clip of that.
What's so funny? Freak?
But this will star Jackman Phoenix instead of Jared Leto, and actually from what we've seen in the trailer, it doesn't look too bad. It'll be a very interesting take, and at least now it feels like the DCEU is focusing more on the individual stories instead of trying to cram team-up movies down our throats, and it's been appreciated so far. That's why we've seen great movies like Aquaman 2 and Shazam do pretty well. They were character-focused stories rather than crazy over-the-top team-ups, and I think people really resonate with that more. The team-up should be a reward of great movie making rather than a product of rushed movie making. For February 7th, 2020, which is actually a lot closer than it seems, this is not even a year away, we're looking at Birds of Prey, which will be a movie that focuses on a lot of different characters, but should see the return of Harley Quinn, casted as Margot Robbie, but we should also see other characters like the Huntress and Black Canary featured in this film as well. It'll be really interesting to see how this movie turns out, especially because this character is kind of associated with Suicide Squad, which wasn't as well received, but the DCEU is trying to turn a new page in their universe, and maybe this will work out. Then for summer of 2020, which is just 1 year away, we're looking at Wonder Woman 1984, which originally was supposed to come out a year earlier, but it got delayed. However, from what we have seen from this already, just some of the early screenshots and releases that they've shown, the aesthetic design looks really good, and taking this movie into a different time period will be interesting. The first Wonder Woman movie is possibly one of the best movies in the DCEU, or at least the first good movie in the DCEU, so we're optimistic that the follow-up will be just as good, especially if they took the time to kind of give an extra year to production to make something that's coherent. Furthermore, there's an expected release of a summer Batman movie in 2021. However, there's kind of a lot of questions in the air about this movie and how they're going to pull this off in enough time, because first of all, Ben Affleck has agreed to leave as that character, so we're kind of without a Batman. Interestingly enough, there's a ton of rumors floating around as to who will be the next Batman, and one of the top contenders right now is Robert Pattinson. One of the top contenders is Robert Pattinson, which will be really interesting because it's a pretty dramatic casting and it's a pretty serious character, but who knows, sometimes these unexpected actors end up killing it at some of these characters, and maybe it would work out. I check it out either way. Then also set for just 3 months later in August of 2021, we're looking at Suicide Squad 2. And this is going to be more of a reboot, but there will probably be some characters returning. We already know Will Smith is not going to be returning as his character. However, they're looking to maybe get Harley Quinn at least as a character in this film, and a few others. Interestingly enough, they hired and grabbed James Gunn right after he was temporarily fired from Disney before he was rehired to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And if he does this anyway, like the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and just kind of mixes this lighthearted and darker tone together, I think there'll be some good storytelling here, and this follow-up might actually be a good Suicide Squad, which is what everyone wanted at the end of the day. The first one had a lot of promise in the trailer, and maybe the reshoots caused a lot of the problems that came up later on. Then for a 2022 release, which will be 3 years from now, it seems a little bit distant in the future, but Aquaman 2 is set to have a release. This is one that we might expect to be pushed up if something like Batman gets delayed, or maybe Suicide Squad 2 gets delayed. But otherwise, we're looking at 2022. The movie did very well in 2018 when it released. It grossed well over $1 billion in the box office, so it's no surprise that they're going to make another one. Okay, so now besides that, we're kind of entering territory on films that don't have official release dates attached to them, but they've made official statements regarding the existence of these films that were supposed to be in the works, but we don't have any date with it, and a lot of the times there's not even a writer associated with it. So let's just go through these kind of quickly to know what maybe the DCEU is trying to plan on the surface for down the road. Apparently they're working on a Trench movie, which would possibly be a spin-off to Aquaman. We really don't know how it's going to work too well, but they have already hired Noah Gardner and Aiden Fitzgerald to pen the script for this potential movie. Playing as the main character, and in 2017 they even said the movie would be called Flashpoint, but there's a ton of conflict going on with this movie. There's been directors and writers that have left along the way, and now Ezra Miller is already booked up to film Fantastic Beasts 3, which will limit how much time they have to actually film this movie. So we're looking at this to get pushed off even further, and who knows if they'll choose to recast this character or not by then. It's kind of a mess, but at least they've now hired on directors and writers from popular things like Vacation and even Spider-Man Homecoming. So maybe the early stages of this project is finally coming together. All right, they officially announced that they were going to write a Batgirl movie, and they've hired Joss Whedon from the Marvel Cinematic Universe to write and direct this movie. However, they've now kind of reworked some of the production with this, and it looks like Christina Hodson is now penned to write the script, a new script, and then I think they're doing a Batgirl or a Batwoman TV show separately that's unrelated to this, so it's kind of confusing that they're going to be launching a new character in both of these realms, but who knows how it turns out. There's also been talks of a new Green Lantern movie that would potentially come out one day. In 2018, we know that Jeff Johns left his role as the head of DC Films, and it looks like he'll be taking point on maybe directing and writing this movie, and we don't really know what's going on other than it's a reboot and Ryan Reynolds probably won't be in it. And there's of course talks of a New Gods movie. Once again, another thing that there's just no information on other than the fact that they've signed Ava DuVernay to possibly direct this film, but with the DCEU's track record of kind of scrambling around with these ideas and hiring and rehiring people, we don't know if that'll stick. Jared Leto, on the other hand, is saying that he wants his own Joker movie, and apparently they're down for possibly letting him have his own Joker movie that's separate from the Joker movie that's coming out this year. But then Jared Leto is also playing in the upcoming Morbius movie, which is part of Sony's Spider-Man universe that's separate from the MCU and doesn't include Spider-Man. So Jared Leto's kind of busy. So we don't know if that's actually going to happen, but apparently they had announced that's going to happen, along with another Jared Leto Joker movie that has Harley Quinn in it. But once again, we don't know how this is going to work or how this is going to happen. And then there's a Supergirl movie apparently also in development that was revealed as early as just August of last year. This isn't, a lot of these things aren't just forgotten ideas. These are things that have been actively talked about even as soon as 9 months ago. And then finally there's talks of a Justice League Dark, which is kind of one of the only major team-up movies on this list of possible upcoming movies. This has been another one of those issues where people from production have been coming and going, and it's not looking too clean yet, but maybe they'll clean it up and get things in order. And that's just another movie we don't know if it's going to ever come out. But what do you think about the DCEU? I actually am optimistic. Even though it sounds like there's a lot of just like messes that have been announced and that have had writers and directors come and go, I am optimistic actually with the movies that do look like they're coming out that they'll at least maybe be good. But let us know what you think in the comment section down below. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe with notifications on. I'll see you all next time with a brand new video. Bye guys.
Hey guys, we hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure you guys hit the like button down below and subscribe for more Film Artsy. If you guys want to showcase your talent to the world, Film Artsy is the best place for you guys to do it. Please submit your videos to filmartsyofficial@gmail.com, or you guys can click the link in the description. We really want to see what kind of talent you guys can provide. So let us know, send us an email, and we'll check out your videos, and we'll see you all in the next video.